My ex-wife, let's call her Karen, not her real name, and I were married for almost 8 years. The first few years were good. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but nothing major. Things started to change around year 5, when she got a promotion at work. The new position came with more money, but also with new friends who loved expensive dinners, weekend getaways, and designer everything. I noticed our credit card bills climbing month after month. When I brought it up, Karen would get defensive and accuse me of trying to control her. I work hard for my money, she'd say. Stop counting every penny I spend. The thing was, it wasn't just her money she was spending. Our finances were completely merged, and my salary was actually higher than hers, even after her promotion. The breaking point came when I discovered she had taken out a $30,000 loan without telling me. When confronted, she admitted she'd been hiding debt for years. I was stunned. We'd always talked about saving for a house, and here she was, secretly piling up debt that would make that impossible. We tried counseling, but her spending habits didn't change. If anything, they got worse. It was like she was deliberately trying to drain our accounts before an inevitable split. After many tearful arguments and sleepless nights, I filed for divorce. The divorce process was surprisingly civil, given the circumstances. We divided our assets, what was left of them, and debts. I took responsibility for our joint credit card debt, and she agreed to handle the secret loan and her personal cards. We signed the papers, and that was supposed to be that. For about 5 years, I had minimal contact with Karen. I moved to a different city, got a better job, and slowly rebuilt my financial life. I was finally debt-free and had even managed to save enough for a down payment on a modest house. Life was looking up. Then out of nowhere, I got a text from Karen. We need to talk. I'm in trouble, and you need to help me. I ignored it at first, but then came the calls, to my phone, to my workplace, even to my parents. She was persistent. Finally, I agreed to meet her for coffee, just to get her to stop harassing my family. When we met, she looked different. Designer clothes replaced with worn jeans and a simple sweater. She told me she was facing bankruptcy. Apparently, after our divorce, instead of paying off her debts as agreed, she'd continued her spending spree. Now creditors were coming after her, and she was about to lose everything. You have to help me, she said. You owe me. I almost laughed. I owe you? After everything. That's when the threat started. If you don't help me financially, I'll tell everyone about what you did, Karen hissed across the table. What are you talking about? I was genuinely confused. Don't play dumb. The real reason our marriage fell apart. I have evidence. There was no real reason beyond her spending addiction, but Karen had always been good at twisting reality to fit her narrative. She claimed to have emails and texts showing I had been abusive, emotionally and financially, throughout our marriage. She threatened to send this evidence to my employer, my family, and all our mutual friends. No one would believe that, I said, trying to sound confident despite the anxiety building in my chest. My new job was with a company that prided itself on their employees' characters, and a scandal, even a fabricated one, could seriously damage my reputation. Are you willing to take that risk? She asked with a smirk. I need $15,000 to get the creditors off my back. It's nothing for you now that you've got that fancy job and new house. I sat there, speechless. This was extortion, plain and simple. I told her I needed time to think about it, mostly to get away from her and clear my head. She gave me 3 days to make the right decision. Those 3 days were some of the most stressful of my life. I barely slept, constantly thinking about what to do. I considered just paying her to make her go away, but I knew in my gut that it wouldn't end there. Once she knew I was willing to pay, she'd keep coming back for more. On day 2, I called my old friend Mike, who happens to be a lawyer specializing in family law. I explained the situation, including Karen's threats. Mike listened carefully and then asked a question that changed everything. Did you record your conversation with her? I hadn't, but Mike suggested I meet Karen again and record our conversation. We live in a one-party consent state. He also advised me to gather all financial records from our marriage and divorce to show that I had fulfilled all my legal obligations. When I met Karen again at the same coffee shop, I had my phone recording in my pocket. I let her do most of the talking, occasionally asking clarifying questions like, so you're saying if I don't give you $15,000, you'll send fabricated evidence of abuse to my employer? She took the bait completely. That's right. And don't think I won't do it. I've got nothing to lose anymore. You ruined my life when you left me with all that debt. The debt you created, I reminded her. The debt you agreed to pay in our divorce settlement. Details, she scoffed. The point is, I need money now, and you're going to give it to me unless you want your perfect new life ruined. I asked her if she had actual evidence of any wrongdoing on my part, and she admitted she'd need to embellish things a bit, but that people always believe the woman in these situations anyway. After getting everything I needed on record, I told her I'd have the money ready in 2 days. She looked smug as she left the coffee shop, probably thinking she had won. What she didn't know was that I had no intention of giving her a dime. Instead, I took the recording straight to Mike, who said we had clear evidence of extortion. He helped me file for a restraining order and suggested we could pursue criminal charges if she continued. But Karen wasn't done yet. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of missed calls and text messages from friends and family. She had started her smear campaign early, apparently not willing to wait for the money. That's when I knew I had to do more than just defend myself. I needed to make sure she couldn't hurt anyone else like this again. I spent that day doing damage control, sharing my side of the story with close friends and family. Most were supportive, having witnessed Karen's behavior during our marriage. A few were unsure what to believe, but I didn't blame them. Karen could be very convincing when she wanted to be. True to her word, she had also emailed my company's HR department with vague allegations about my troubling past behavior. Thankfully, I had already spoken to my manager about the situation, showing him the restraining order filing and explaining that my ex-wife was attempting to extort money from me. He was understanding and assured me that the company wouldn't make any judgments based on unsubstantiated claims. With Mike's help, I compiled a comprehensive package of evidence. The audio recording of Karen's threats, our divorce agreement showing she had taken responsibility for her debts, financial records proving the debts were from her excessive spending, and statements from friends who had witnessed her spending habits and subsequent blame shifting. We sent official cease and desist letters to Karen at every address we had for her, warning that continued harassment would result in legal action. I also filed a police report about the extortion attempt, providing them with the recording. Then came the moment that truly turned the tables. One of our mutual friends, Jen, reached out to me after receiving Karen's message about my supposed abuse. Jen revealed something I hadn't known. Karen had tried a similar scheme with her ex-boyfriend before me, claiming he had been financially abusive when he refused to support her shopping addiction after they broke up. Jen had evidence of this. Text messages from years ago when Karen had bragged about making him pay for leaving her. This was the final piece of the puzzle. With Jen's evidence added to our file, Mike suggested we could build a strong case showing a pattern of behavior. We filed for a permanent restraining order and pursued the extortion charges. The day Karen was served with court papers, she called me in a panic. I didn't answer, but let it go to voicemail. Her message was a mixture of rage and desperation. You think you're so smart, but you have no idea what you're up against. I'll make you regret this. I forwarded the voicemail to Mike and the police, adding it to the growing evidence against her. When our court date finally arrived, Karen didn't show up. Her lawyer appeared instead, looking uncomfortable as he requested a continuance. The judge denied it, given the evidence of ongoing harassment. By the end of the hearing, I had my permanent restraining order, and the prosecutor had enough evidence to charge Karen with extortion. Karen eventually took a plea deal to avoid jail time, accepting probation, mandatory financial counseling, and a requirement to pay restitution to another victim who came forward after hearing about my case. Apparently, I wasn't the only ex she had tried to extort. It's been 2 years since all this happened. I've moved on with my life, and as far as I know, Karen has complied with her probation requirements. Some mutual acquaintances tell me she's working at a retail job now and has apparently given up her luxury lifestyle. I still think about the whole ordeal sometimes. It was messy and stressful, but standing up to her was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Not just for me, but for anyone else she might have targeted in the future. The moral of this story isn't about revenge, though it might read that way. It's about breaking free from manipulation and standing up for yourself when someone tries to take advantage of your decency. Document everything, know your rights, and don't let yourself be bullied, even by someone who once meant the world to you. And if you're dating someone who shows signs of financial irresponsibility or manipulation, take it seriously. These red flags don't usually disappear, they just evolve into bigger problems down the road.